Hello everyone, Minute Plus Meditation here. It is Thursday, June the 20th. From the first reading is taken from the book of Sirach, summing up Elijah's life. Elijah arose a prophet like fire, and his word burned like a torch. He brought a famine upon them, and by his zeal he made them few in number. By the word of the Lord he shut up the heavens, and also 3 times brought down fire, and so on. You know, the great thing about the prophets is they never take they recognize that they are instruments of grace, period. They don't take credit for themselves. That's what I was looking for. They don't take credit for themselves. So they are envelopes. They carry the message, and the message is given, and they just back away. So these are great individuals. I mean, Elijah had power. He had real power, but it was on loan. You know, same thing with Jeremiah, the power of Jeremiah's words, but it was on loan. He was really tortured, during his lifetime, ultimately martyred for the faith. Elijah was one of the few who wasn't martyred, but they were all very conscientious about having everything on loan from God. That's the way you and I need to think. Everything we have is on loan from God. Everything that we think makes us powerful, self-sufficient, independent, nothing without God's grace. And one day it's going to become very clear to us, this was all ephemeral, short-lived. And the power, whatever powers we had, gifts, talents we had, there's an expectation that we would use them not for our own aggrandizement, but for the good of others, to build up others. And if we don't do that, it's not going to be a very happy encounter with God, because we'll realize how selfish we were. Or the flip side is how generous we were and how much we gave away and how much others profited by it. And the thing is, God will give us glory because we've given him the glory. Keep that in mind. Over to the gospel. Continuing with the Sermon on the Mount, chapter 6, Jesus said to his disciples, when you are praying, do not heap up empty phrases as the Gentiles do, for they think that they will be heard because of their many words. Do not be like them, for your Father knows what you need before you ask him. So why ask? Well, because God knows, but we don't know what we really need. And God is not adverse to our repeating prayers. The fact that Jesus repeated his own prayers in the Garden of Gethsemane 3 times indicates this. And it's not wrong, we can never hear enough how much I love you, or to say I love you to someone who is close to us, a parent, a spouse, or a child, or somebody like that, or a friend. But it's not the repetition per se, but it's rather the thinking that the repetition will somehow wear God down, manipulate him, bargain with him, get his attention, wake him up. These are all false ideas about the divinity. Somehow by multiplying we make ourselves feel good. Sometimes all we need to do is ask once. Other times we need to ask over 15 years, so it shows our own resolve, to ask God about how resolved we really are. Many times we ask for things, we don't get them within a couple hours, and it's like we walk out of the restaurant because we didn't get service, and we have to kind of smarten up and realize some of this stuff takes decades. Monica praying for decades for the conversion of her son. There's no guaranteed outcome because it relies upon Augustine's free will, right? And it goes on and on like this. So what's the purpose of you and I praying? Well, the prayer itself, if it's persistent, if it's loving, if it's obedient, if it's truly meant for the good of others and not for our own aggrandizement, then actually what happens is not only the good of the other may be manifested, so they may undergo a conversion, but in the process, we actually are being transformed by grace. And that's something we don't always think about. We just we ask, we get, and then we move on. Well, we need to stop moving on. Even though there is a moving on, of course, we can't be stuck and paralyzed in that position for the rest of our life. But we need to recognize and give thanks for all the things that God has actually answered. The fact that you and I woke up this morning, have you thanked God for that? Maybe you didn't explicitly ask for it, but let me tell you, you and I take it for granted. And maybe every day we wake up and our eyes open and we're in this world, we should thank God for the gift of answering our prayers, that we may have a good, when I say a good long life, I mean virtuous, and one that's truly ready to see him when this life is over. So recognize in your prayer all the opportunities you have and just be faithful. God bless you.